Hi there, everybody. My name is Joyce Monti Wahiga, and this is Full Circle with Joyce. Karibuni tena to the show. It's great to have your company this morning. We've had a great first hour. If you've missed Akiwoye, I feel bad for you. I feel bad for you, for real. We began the morning talking about patience as we continue going through the fruit of the Spirit here in our devotion segment. A great discussion on that. Lots of positive feedback from you guys as well, just sharing your experiences and the things that you've been struggling with. And then just now we got to chat a little bit with King Kaka and Elijah Girimani, who's the producer of a film coming out here on Switch TV this weekend. That's on Saturday at 8 p.m. The film is called Majuto. King Kaka does star in the film, and I certainly encourage you guys to watch it as we also just think of our place as young people and what we can do to really improve our own well-being and that of others as well. Right now, though, in this hour, we're going to be jumping into events of the week in brief, and later on we also have a DIY segment coming up for you. But before we do all that, let's take a look at our quote for the day. It says, "We need 4 hugs a day for survival. We need 8 hugs a day for maintenance. We need 12 hugs a day for growth." That's a cute one. We need 4 hugs a day for survival. We need 8 hugs a day for maintenance. And we need 12 hugs a day for growth. That's by Virginia Satir, who stated that quote there. And again, you know, share the love with somebody. Smile at someone. Give them a kind word. Today, all of us just need some warmth and kindness. It's cold, but also just with the seasons that we're in, find someone and encourage them today as they encourage you back as well. And also just to really emphasize what King Kaka was saying there too, as far as young people and really being the ones to step out and go after dreams and chase things. Let's be those people, because you know what? Things will never be handed to us on a silver platter. We need to be the ones chasing. We need to be the ones working hard, okay? So be encouraged with that this morning. But for now, let me introduce my guest. His name is Wakili Gadhi Irungu, former Kiambu speaker and devolution lawyer. Karibu sana to the show.
Asante.
Good to have you here this morning. And we want to just touch on events of the week in brief. Of course, it's been another tumultuous political week, to say the least. Of course, one of the biggest stories this week is of the motion on embattled Kirinyaga Governor Ann Waiguru, and that has definitely brought with it a lot of mixed reactions. The Senate Business Committee last Friday recommended an 11-member committee to investigate charges leveled against Ann Waiguru. Justice Weldon Korir last Thursday declined to overturn the impeachment ruling that the County Assembly had proved it did not violate any court orders. Waiguru wanted the court to declare the whole process illegal. What's your first take on what is happening in Kirinyaga County right now?
Firstly, I'm happy to be here and to be hosted here. You know that now Switch is in the market in an abnormal way, and I know you shall be going very far. Foremost, let me just intervene by saying that there are so many people who say that Kenya, we are very political.
Aren't we?
Very political.
Aren't we?
We are. We can't say we are political. What we can say is that there is a class of Kenyans who are politicians.
Okay.
And as a professional, your work being politics, you're supposed to play politics, because that precisely is your profession.
But also, I think
Yes.
that's the problem, because Kenyans, we don't need politicians as much as we need leaders. And so even when you say play politics, it implies that there is a game that is being played, and it is the wananchi, it is I and the ones watching this show that suffer the most because of it.
The biggest problem we have is that our supporters and the common citizen is so much fixated on politics rather than leaving that to politicians, because that is precisely their work. If you're a liar, if you're a journalist, your work is to do whatever you have to do. And
But
what's
is
the
there-
difference between a reader and a politician?
Address that, please. Because
Yes.
is their work to be a politician?
Yes.
Or is their work to lead
Yes.
the people that elected them?
And you see, there is that issues about transformative leadership. There is these issues about future managers, strategists, politicians. And like I told you, in Kenya we have politicians, and we cannot disallow them to do their politics, whether you call them leaders or not leaders, because we are the people who choose these politicians instead of leaders. So for me, what I say is we get what we vote. And the biggest problem we have in Kenya is that now we cannot disallow these politicians to do what they know best. And that is precisely why from beginning of the elections all the way through to the next elections, politics are being played daily and daily.
So let's get back to Kirinyaga County.
Kirinyaga is a very interesting scenario. Firstly, because you can see this was gender issues. This was a great woman leader who is even being supported by women cabinet secretaries. You can see it, and other women leaders. There is that gender issue.
That because she's a woman?
Yes, yes. That's one of the issues, and that we want to strive down women leaders. It has always happened that way, in one way or another. Then there are those allegations being peddled by the county assembly, which under the law, constitution and all other laws, it is their duty to oversight the county executive. And they have gone and laid some allegations, and a substantial majority voted for impeachment. Now this has gone to the Senate, and as we can see now, we have now, the committee has been set up, and in fact they sat down yesterday, and even today they are sitting. And then we have now, because the good thing about these impeachment processes is that you are given a hearing, not only at the assembly level, but even at the Senate level. All through, you are given a hearing to rebut what they are saying. So apart from that, you can hear that EACC and other agencies have also taken up this matter. So apart from politics, there will be the legalistic issues. Because EACC will not rely on what the Assembly has said, or even what the Senate will decide absolutely.
So with all these parties involved, what are her chances of surviving this?
I'm sorry, because when I did my dissertation, we call it thesis in my master's level on law, my issue was impeachment. And impeachment, this is, it's quite clear it comes out as a purely political process. It is not a question of the law. The law lays the processes, the law lays gross violation of the Constitution and all those grounds. But finally, it is the political situation that lays
that determines it.
Absolutely. So even at the assembly level, it's politics. You can see some places like Kitui, where many MCAs are aligned to Wiper Party, which is not governor's party. You can see the chaos there, because finally, even when they have these allegations, the party may take a position, and when the party takes that position, it means that the MCAs or the senators will follow what their parties are saying. When this issue went to the committee, you had a lacrosse all over, especially from Kirinyaga. Both the people, both the political class, including MPs, including even the women led, including the senator, saying now these things, they are going to sanitize the governor through the processes of the committee. That is why they wanted everybody. Because in the feeling of the MCAs and the Kirinyaga people is that when you are talking about 11 members, you are just simply talking about 6 members. So if we are able to talk to 6 members, whatever way, whether by convincing them legally or whatever other way, then that committee, the majority will vote against your impeachment. And when it goes to the Senate, the full Senate, you will see that there's nothing that can happen because it is stopped there. In fact,
Okay.
the report is simply to be taken and laid in the
So
table.
to the question then, do you
Yes.
think she can survive this?
There is no doubt that with the political, the honchos, we call them the honchos,
Okay.
the political party leaders, with their support, I have no doubt that she must survive.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. I think we have to take a break right now. So let's do that. And when we come back, I wanted to touch on a few other issues, including, of course, just the issues with our courts and the fact that we still don't have lawyers appointed, despite their nomination now months ago. What is happening with that? I also want to talk about Kipchumba Murkomen and Orengo. They are now being touted as the new versus the old constitution, and just looking at the way tables have flipped and changed there. And of course, Ruto's allies, and also Tanzania reopening their schools after this 3-month closure, and whether Kenya has anything at all to learn from them. All of that is going to be coming up next in the next few minutes here after this break. 22999 is the SMS line. We'll see you shortly. All right, guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. Please do send in your feedback to 22999, even as the team loads those up for me. But asanteni sana again for your company. I'm here with Wakili Gadhigi Irungu, former Kiambu speaker and a devolution lawyer. Karibu tena to the show.
Thank you.
Great to talk to you this morning. Just before we jump into these other topics, we've been having a very interesting discussion during the break. And basically, I've been asking the question, given what you're saying about, our politicians and the sort of culture that we've created, is a referendum, for example, going to change all that? Will that actually address the issue of what Kenyan politics is, unfortunately, today?
So what is the problem? Is the problem the constitution, so that we go to referendum? Is the problem ourselves as citizens? Is the problem our politicians? So that even as we go for a referendum, we had another, we have been fighting for constitutional change since around 1980, 89, 90, all the way to 2010. We were fighting about constitution, all the way to 2010, when we got a new constitution. For those almost 20 years, what were we doing?
Right.
Did we get a good constitution? So barely from 2010
like 10 years.
to 2020, we want now to change another constitution,
which we said was among the best in the world.
They said it's among the best, most progressive, and I'm happy I was part of that process. But now, as soon as we do the referendum, we have a new system, and then we have some practical problems, then we'll start doing the another referendum. My issue for me is not the constitution is bad. My issue for me is not that we need a referendum. My main issue is the quality of our leaders, firstly, the quality of our politicians, and even us, our oversighting as citizens. So unless that culture, our culture of governance changes from you and me all the way to the leadership, then we'll be changing the constitution again and again. So dispersing power from one person. We dispersed power, 2010 constitution. Like you can see what is happening between the president and CJ Maraga. It's because we dispersed, by then it was the president who used to appoint judges. Right. Now it is JSC. So we have dispersed that power. But you can see they're still fighting. You can see the fights between the government and national government and county governments. We dispersed power from the center to the counties. But what changed? Is corruption gone? Is good governance coming in? So for me, so much is not the question of referendum. It is the question of you and me as citizenry and our politicians. What are we electing?
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example of my county. What did we elect? And I'm sorry for saying it because I say it quite often. We elected a Kayore Gun. What happened in Nairobi and some other counties? So is that the problem of the constitution, or me as a voter electing a politician who cannot take me anywhere?
Yeah.
So so referendum for you.
What do you think is going to change that, though? Because it's very sad, honestly. It makes us as citizenry look very silly, really, that, you know, someone will come in a caravan and they'll just tow 50 bobs, and then we give them, you know, 10 years of our taxes and our economies to run for us. What is it going to take on the part of us as citizens? Because I totally hear your point that we also need to wake up.
Yes.
But how do we do that without it becoming revolution? Because that's the thing that scares me. Because when you look at a lot of these economies that have finally transitioned out of this madness, it's taken very bloody revolutions. And we almost got there in 2007. Can we get there without having to go that route again? What is it going to take from the citizen, from Wananchi?
I'm worried so much about our context. Because like you have said, many societies change because of that bloody constitution. Ours was touted to be the most peaceful revolution by the 2010 constitution, based on what happened 2007 to 2008.
Yeah.
The country almost went under.
Yeah.
And so people, it was almost a revolution. There were the Kliger Commission, all the other commissions, Truth Commission, but did we if we worked on those commissions and their recommendations, the reconciliation commissions and the Kriger commissions, and then the 2010 constitution, and then if we worked on that, then maybe we would have gone somewhere. But you see, everybody is fighting against each other.
Yeah.
Firstly.
Yeah.
Secondly, and as we have said, we have now to institutionalize through our next generation. Forget about my generation. We are completely gone. We can talk even about corruption while we are still ourselves, citizens down there, corrupt.
Yeah.
And small issues you can see as you walk around. We are jumping queues. We want our children to go to get fake certificates.
Yes.
We want to get exams for our children, and we buy them all the way. Even Christians, you can see what is happening in our churches. So until now, maybe another generation comes and we start changing from the beginning. And we should start this by our students. We must make a conscious effort to say that we have gone long.
Yeah.
And when we decide to say that as citizenry, we have gone long, let our next future generation change. That is when we are going to change. But for now, and let me tell you, and I'm telling you by experience, little experience, this country is not going anywhere because of the very good, progressive 2010 constitution. And you can check every institution. You go to churches, you go to schools, you go to colleges, you go to parastatals, you go to politics, you go to professional bodies, everything.
Yeah.
It is in a mess.
Wow. So we still have a long way to go. And sadly, I don't think we can afford all this mess and all this drama. But unfortunately, you're saying it's going to be like this for a while until we start nurturing the new generation completely differently. We need a very radical approach to that.
For information, if you don't do it, we'll go back to what you said.
Yeah.
There'll be a bloody constitutional revolution.
Yeah.
And which can even break the country.
Oh my. Okay. Well, let's turn to President Uhuru Kenyatta. And in many ways, of course, there's always the question of what role can he play? Because at this point, you know, the presidency still holds a lot of power. And you then have to be like, okay, is there more that he could be doing really to help bring this situation, you know, to the ground and bring more understanding to it? Perhaps he's also tired. It's getting to the end of his term. I don't know. But at the moment, he seems to have distanced himself from 2022's general election and the political wars that are now taking place there, or going on with that. He distanced himself from claims that Jubilee Party will not support Deputy President William Ruto's presidential bid. He said all he knows is that Jubilee as a party has its own plan ahead of the next election. And with regards to BBI, that's the Building Bridges Initiative, the president maintained that the deal is not about 2022, but a Kenya that will live in unity. And he maintained that the country is also on the right track to fight corruption. And of course, many of us would completely disagree with that question. But looking at the sort of wrangles that are happening within the Jubilee Party and also BBI, and now this very broken relationship, it seems, between the president and the deputy president, what does that tell you then as far as 2022 is concerned? What should we as citizens be bracing ourselves for?
We saw this in when Kibaki 2012, when he was leaving. And if you remember very well, there were those issues that the present president and his deputy, because of ICC, should not stand. And the insiders in State House got even Honorable Mudavadi to be a candidate, a compromise candidate. You remember even President Uhuru giving out having an MOU with Mudavadi. That was all State House plan that went hourly because of the citizenry, you remember. What we used to call the TNA members. So they said they'll ban ban everybody along the way if Uhuru did not stand. Now, we are talking about 2022, and nobody should lie that he's not interested in 2022. And that is why you can see even issues of these Lagos, these Jubilee takeovers, not really takeovers, let's call reorganization of Jubilee. It is 2022.
Yeah.
Yesterday there were these MOUs with
Yes.
Ruto, with Karonso.
Yes.
This is all about
We're
2022.
hearing about Mukisa Kitui possibly coming into the mix
because
too.
there is no so much that can be done between now and 2022, and especially with these corona issues. For now, it's to stabilize the economy, firstly, but you don't stabilize the economy by making MOUs all over, because these are political MOUs for 2022.
Yeah.
When a president is leaving, it's usually a very interesting scenario. It's not like when you are learning for re-election. When you are there, there is a vacuum, a whole vacuum that everybody now wants to fill in it. Now, there is no doubt, when we were going for 2013, 2017, there was the issue of 10-10. It is no longer tenable now. The fight now is so vicious that any time the deputy may be walking out of Jubilee if he has not already walked out through the heart. Maybe he may not be able to walk out technically because of the political situation under the constitution, because you cannot sack him. But it has happened even in places like Ghana, where Rawlings was fighting with his deputy, even in cabinet, boxing. So we have no doubt that 2022 will be coming sooner than later, and the political realignment are coming. And let me assure you, since multipartyism came in, no president has ever come with the same party. So you could see that at the beginning, Kibaki came through NAC, then through PNU, Uhuru came through TNA, then Jubilee. So don't assume that the next presidency is going to come through these established parties. That is why you can see these all realignments. Because now, don't be lied, we are talking about economy or people or anything. We are talking about the political class, and that is where BBI comes in. BBI was just to try and not only unite the country, but also disperse power, get a whole coalition of people to get something small in the pie.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I want to take you back just a little bit, because earlier, of course, when we were talking about BBI and referendums and whatnot, and talking about this whole idea of power and politics in this country, and how literally, as you're saying, that's the goal. The goal is to get 2022 to Shinda so that you have power and alignment to those in power. And the situation with our judges really is very unfortunate. It's almost embarrassing to have our Chief Justice complaining about how things cannot run because we don't have judges in place and we don't have that institution is not strong on its own. What is your take on that, and why the hesitation really to appoint these judges? As a lawyer yourself.
I'm a lawyer,
Yeah.
and we need those judges. And the new constitution gave the power to JSC to elect, to appoint, not clearly appoint, but to get the judges. And then the president was to appoint them through a Kenya Gazette. There is a whole discussion out there between the constitutional lawyers. Is the president a mere clerk receiving JSC names and forwarding them to government later without checking? That is a very huge constitutional issue out there.
Okay.
Or is he supposed, because he is the head of the state, a unifying factor with so much information. So if he has information that you are a murderer, is he supposed to merely to take you up there? There are those who are saying, sure, take him there. Then you start the process of removal.
But even so, it
Yes.
was only a couple of the judges that have questions
Yes.
around them.
Yes.
So what is the hesitation with appointing those who are clean or have no issues around them, so that the courts can, function as they need to, and then leave the few who are not as clean and sort them out on the side?
I agree with you. But our biggest problem is that now, the fight between the CJ and the president and the AG, and we were AG and CJ sit in the same committee.
That's right.
So some of us were saying this problem is becoming because JSC is not independent. So they were saying,
Which it was supposed to be
Yes,
by our
yes, sure,
previous, by
sure.
the current
but
constitution.
they
It's
got
supposed to be.
the AG there, they got some lawyers there, they got some Public Service Commission employees, they got some presidential appointees, they got the AG, they got judges. So what we are saying is that why don't we, in some other countries, we have a very independent Judicial Service Commission, so that we can let the CJ run his show without now there's so much politics. Because now, the judiciary is falling, is
Yeah.
failing.
Yeah.
Because you can see, they are talking about budget, they are talking about judges, they
Backlog
are talking
of cases for 2 years.
management, and then somebody, the CJ, the head of one full arm of government, stands and says he cannot even be able to reach the head of the other arm of government. So something is very wrong. We must really think about the arrangement of Judicial Service Commission. But for me also, sometimes these fights out there sometimes are counterproductive, because somebody like the CJ can be able to walk through the AG and try to synchronize these things.
Yeah.
The AG is saying, no, us, we cannot appoint them because we are going to the Court of Appeal. And you people have refused to give us documents to go to the Court of Appeal. So you are not supposed to comment, which is true. You are not supposed to comment on a matter that is is in court.
Is in court, yes.
Some of these things are arising because of those issues and interests. And we are saying as lawyers, personally, that these people must sit down, because the person who is going to suffer is not the state, it is not the executive or parliament or the CJ. It is you, Wanjiku, who is now going to file a matter today that cannot even be heard before another president sees this state house.
Such a shame.
Yes.
Such a shame. Very quickly, as we wrap up, let's shift borders and go to Tanzania and talk about them for a minute. Magufuli here wanting to reopen schools. Of course, they've been very secretive about their corona case numbers, and of course, he's very skeptical even about the disease in general. And a lot of people are starting to look to Tanzania to say, maybe this thing is not even there that much. Maybe hapa Kenya labda tumedanganywa ama it's not a big deal. Of course, here in Kenya, schools are still not open. What's your take on that? And as far as Kenya, you know, of course, we're still counting down to July and waiting for the next announcement as far as our future is concerned.
I'll give you a small story. In the morning, I was talking to my wife about this. That he's working, he's an artist, and he's meeting other artists, and they don't have masks, and they are saying these are figures from wherever.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, we were on telly the other day. We were seeing what was happening in Italy.
Yeah.
We were seeing what was happening in China. We were seeing Britain, including their political leaders. Let us not play with this disease.
Right.
That is one thing.
Be safe and sorry.
The other issue is you might close your eyes to issues like Burundi did. At the beginning, even Burundi was saying, we don't test, so we don't know what is that. And people are always die because of cholera, they die because of pneumonia and all those issues.
Yes.
So let me tell you, to go directly, the Kenya, how we are handling it, and I'm happy. We are trying to handle it in the best way possible, so that we don't reach those levels where we cannot even sustain.
Yeah.
Today, in today's newspaper, Busia has no hospital. If you get sick in Busia, you are going to die, because they have already finalized, overstretched their resources.
Yeah.
In Tanzania, and I'm happy, I usually visit Tanzania so much. Tanzania has its own unique way of governance.
Yeah.
And especially under CCM, and now under strongman, we can call him strongman,
He sure is, Magufuli.
So what is happening is that it does not mean that the disease is not there.
Right.
And especially when considering that maybe 60% of the people do not even show signs.
Right.
So if you don't test them,
you don't take it seriously.
Yes. And finally, when you are talking about schools everywhere closed, because the movement of during school time is very huge. Children from this place to these other ones. And then to control children is much, much harder than controlling adults.
So it's not the best move right now.
For me, even as we think about reopening the economy, we must also think about, are we finishing our people?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wakili, asante sana for joining me here on the show today. It's been great talking to you. Thank you for bringing your insight too, especially with your legal background as well. We certainly appreciate you. I feel like Kenya tunahitaji maombi sana. A lot to be worked on, but you're right, not just at the political level, but even at the grassroots. And I love the examples that you pointed of even us as citizens being corrupt. We need to change that and change this whole culture if we actually want to secure a better Kenya for, you know, our children and our children's children. So asante sana for your time. With that said, guys, we do need to take a break, and we'll be back shortly with our DIY segment. Our guest also has a giveaway for you viewers at home, so be sure to stay tuned for details on that. 22999 is the SMS line. We'll be back after this.
Thank you.